Well, hello. Welcome to Talking Music, where every song is a story. My name's Paul, and today we're going to talk about this song from the Sweet, Teenage Rampage. This is the third Sweet song that I've featured on this particular channel, because the other two, Blockbuster and Ballroom Blitz, were rather well received, so fingers crossed. Let's hope it's third time lucky as well. The Sweet were a band that grew into their success. How they started out was not how they finished. Their look and their sound developed along the way. And I'd say 1972 was their year of change, after they'd been having success, a fair amount of success, for a year or so, a year or 18 months or so. But in 72, they became influenced by the likes of David Bowie and T-Rex, who were really beginning to make their mark. And as a result, they joined the ranks of those that wore wigs and makeup and lipstick and eyeshadow and glitter and stacked heels and garish coloured jumpsuits and costumes. Blockbuster went to number one at the beginning of 1973, and that year, 73, became the Sweets' year. It was as if they'd found their look and their sound. Steve Priest was the most outrageous of them all. He was the one who looked like he was having the most fun. Brian Connolly on lead was also exciting, with a style of vocal that gave an edge to the hits, a point of drama almost. He would sometimes sound like he was approaching a point of hysteria with his vocals. Teenage Rampage exemplifies this, and there was no one else on the pop music scene doing it. And throw into the mix an expert and flamboyant drummer in Mick Tucker and a first-class lead guitar in Andy Scott, and the band in 1973, well, they were rocking.
And Sweet, although, making the kind of records that were about fun, I think it's important to understand that although there were quality songs and quality records and quality performances, Sweet were about fun. They were never... And if you look at Steve's performance, especially on those later records, it does say, well, we don't take ourselves too seriously. Because those cameos by Steve were also a bit of comedy. They were about entertainment.
Teenage Rampage was another of the many Nicky Chinn and Mike Chapman songs. The production of the song was quite standout, I'd say, among the other chart hits at the time. It was given a pseudo-live sound, almost as if it had been recorded live at concert, because it had the sound of the crowd chanting out the group's name at the start, and at other points during the song. It was recorded late 1973 and became the group's first hit single in the UK for 1974. And it stuck to the winning formula which the band had developed during the previous 12 months. Loud, brash, driving guitar of Andy Scott, the usual inclusion of a Steve Priest line before the driving high-intensity chorus vocals of Brian Connolly. And let's not forget, all of this was set against a heavy drum backbeat, so obviously audible on Sweet Songs with Mick Tucker. Teenage Rampage fitted neatly into the usual 3-minute pop setup. Intro, 2 verses, 2 choruses, then a bridge to take us into 2 final choruses, then out. Perfect pop with a rock edge.
Teenage Rampage was basically son of Blockbuster, but with the crowd, without the crowd chant, it may well have been not as big a hit as it was.
And the lyrics too, very simple and uncomplicated, and written especially for teenagers, and written, I'd say, almost to annoy and irritate adults. Only this didn't really happen because even the more discerning listeners enjoyed the experience. But with this song, the Sweet had firmly placed their flag in the teenage camp. They urged teenagers to recognise their age. So be aware of what you might be going through. Quite literally, you could argue the words themselves are an incitement to revolution. Teenagers taking to the streets and taking over. But my thoughts on this go deeper, with lyric lines like, they've got to be heard, they've got the word, they really belong, and now they're coming on strong. I think it's more about how those years 13 to 16 are years of discovery and growth, Also, the band are saying these are years of hope and optimism, if only you'd grasp it. So rather than it being a song urging teenagers to fill the streets and rampage, for me it's more of a song saying you've got it all going on, so go out there and make something of yourself, make the things you want in life happen. The sound of the song and the lyrics are really quite invigorating. The promo for Teenage Rampage was great too. Less of a video, as videos were still not the thing then, but the promo showed the band in the studio working the song. None of the outrageous costumes, just dressed normally for the day, but great to see a really good band and how they worked the studio. The sound of the crowd was on tape, but the rest looked authentic to me. Mick Tucker thumping away on drums, Steve Priest, no makeup, taking studio time seriously, well, as seriously as he could. Andy Scott's guitar pushing Brian Connolly's vocals, and seeing Brian switch gears as he builds the frenzy. It was all great stuff. How did it do in the charts, though? Well, here is how the charts looked at the beginning of 1974, 26th of January. The Sweet in their peak position at number 2. It proved to be their third UK number 2 in a row, behind Hellraiser and the Ballroom Blitz, and it stayed at number 2 for 3 weeks. Mud, Tiger Feet, stayed at number 1 for 4 weeks. Both songs were written by Chin and Chapman. Ka-ching! It wasn't released in the States, but it certainly made its mark around Europe, making top 5 in nearly all the countries it was released in. Their US record label didn't take up the option of releasing it there. In fact, their US label was rather slow. Maybe a better word for that is conservative. They did it with T-Rex as well. And even though the Sweet had a couple of releases in the States, and they hit the top 5 on a couple of occasions, but the US record label was always a year, maybe even 2 years behind what was happening to the Sweet in the UK. And a year after Teenage Rampage, the Sweet star had fallen a little in the UK, so Rampage didn't really get off the ground in America, which was a bit of a shame really, because for me it's their best song. It stirs the blood with its energy and melody. Its production technique was also different, which kind of sums up the Sweet at this time. They weren't wholly unique like some artists, and Bowie comes to mind immediately, but they fitted into a well-known and established genre of music, and they did their own thing there, and they found their own lane, and they cruised along it brilliantly, I'd say. That's the Sweet and Teenage Rampage, and that's it for another Talking Music video where every song has a story. We've got many more videos. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, that would be just terrific. All you've got to do is click the subscribe button and you'll find many more videos, some of which will be your favourite songs from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, even coming up to the present day. So please do subscribe, and I'll catch you in another video. So till then, take care of yourself. Bye bye.